you. So thank you for attending the webinar today, where as the screen which I have shared suggests, we are here to discuss about the clarifications and the circulars which have been issued in the recent past by the Department of Revenue. Uh, and these circulars are primarily relating to the import of gold at concessional duty. And some of the issues which the TRQ holders were facing, or in fact, I would say the nominated agencies and banks were facing, or I would say even the QJs. So those have been attempted to be addressed in these circulars. We'll talk about that. And before that, I must also mention that due to some communication gap, we had this seminar on a similar topic at two places. And GJPC, I guess they had another session in the morning, and I discussed with them. We both agree that it actually happened because of the communication gap. And next time, whenever there is something like that, we will try to host webinars together so that all the thoughts are exchanged on a similar platform. With that, I'll come to the agenda items for today. First, as I have already discussed, but before we discuss about the circulars, I also understand that Mr. Gautam has some prior commitments, and in fact, one of the unscheduled commitment which has just cropped in, so he has to leave bit early. So I wanted to bring him actually later today, but I will actually start with him. And as always, whenever we hear Mr. Gautam, he always has something new to break. So, what can we expect today, sir?
Good evening, good afternoon, namaskar, everyone. And thanks, Harish. Thanks, IGPC. I am Ahmedabad for hosting this webinar. And Arjun, good to see you on the webinar and all the participants who are here. So thank you, Harish. I mean, in fact, I'm quite excited to tell everyone, and it's very timely that this webinar is happening. At India International Bullion Exchange, we have just launched our newest product, which is the UAE Good Delivery contract, which is for the 995 purity 1 kilogram bar. And we really thank our regulator IFSCA for approving this product, because this product has become the need of the hour, because as you all know, and that's a topic for today also, India and UAE, they have signed CEPA, and under CEPA, the gold has to be imported. So we thought, why not at IIBX platform, we enable UAE good delivery contract, whereby we are in a position to cater to the demand for UAE good delivery gold, as well as the demand for UAE good delivery gold under CEPA for the TRQ holders. So this is something new which I wanted to share with everyone. I'm also quite excited that at IIBX we are listening to IGPC, all the think tanks. We are listening to the market participants, not only in India but overseas, and we all strive to bring the products which we believe will be on the basis of the feedback we receive will be beneficial for the participants. And as we provide more and more such things on our platforms, we request now that we are ready, we are raring to go. We request you all to start coming on IIBX and start routing your imports through us.
Thank you very much, sir. So what changes as far as business goes at IIBX?
Harish, last time we spoke about qualified suppliers, LPTM, because that was the circular which had come. Since then, we have already worked on this UAE good delivery piece. So the idea is now that on both sides, supply side and buy side, the players are all ready. And we are seeing so much of traction, so many of inquiries. A lot of paperwork is happening on both sides, or from the supply side, from buy side. We are having continuous web calls with the global bullion banks who are very excited and eager to know about the qualified supplier LPTM route. They are also exploring some of them to come as a trading members. And many of the refineries and their trading arms are also in touch with us to understand how can they take benefit of the recent the relaxations, or I should say new enablements which have been given by the regulator. So that is something which is very good for us also, and I'm sure all the participants on the IIBX ecosystem will benefit out of it. On the buy side, I also want to tell you that we have started various outreach programs. We had an outreach program in Mumbai on Monday. Tomorrow we have an outreach program in Delhi, and we are going to cover major cities and even tier 2 cities of India very soon. Our endeavor is to reach out to you, to hear you and what you are saying. And also we believe that obviously webinar is one of the very exciting ways to connect with all of you. But in person, when we meet, there are many of the clarifications which you seek, which we are able to tell you then and there in person. That really makes things very, they move very fast, and people remove those doubts from their minds. And it's always good to have a name and a face, not only the voice and electronic face which you are seeing. So that way, IIBX is committed to have these outreach programs, and we believe. So just to tell you, as of now, still that number remains 64 of the qualified jewelers which are on our website. But let me tell you, another 30 applications are in pipeline, which we are hoping to finish in next 15 days. So things will move very fast, and with this UAE good delivery also, we believe lot many players will immediately come in. Another piece which I just want to quickly talk about, Harish, is that MEI scripts have been enabled on GIFT
Oh, wow.
IFSC, and there is a SOP which has been released by the customs authorities, and we had discussions with the development commissioner, and he has been quite helpful. And any there were some whatever glitches which people were experiencing, we gave him a feedback and he immediately acted on it. So just to tell the market that MEI scripts are getting cleared very soon, and
I'm sure
so
that will definitely
have
help.
those things with you, you will be in a position to take advantage of that and route many of your imports in India through us.
So, as I can see from the chat box, people always look forward to the energy that you bring to any discussions on this topic. And so I hope you continue doing that. And so, coming to the business again, so what do you think that the impact will be on the pricing? So, which actually results into the business? What is the value proposition for the traders?
Harish, actually, this is a very key point, and sometimes I have had this discussion with many of the big players, small players, and whenever I go and sit with them, they all open a screen. You see, this is the price which we are getting. What is the price on your screen? That's the thing. So I
We've seen
understand
this
it's
all the time when we were in the banks also, I
yes,
think.
yes,
So,
it's a commercial space, and we believe that we bring a lot of good value. I just want to highlight one more thing. Many of the players are actually seeing the prices today, and sometimes they are saying they are a little bit $1 or $2 here or there. The point I'm trying to make is we need lot many buyers to be there. So the point is a few more developments which let me tell to all of you is that we have enabled API on our exchange, and many of the players are already in the process of developing a flow of the prices through that API. So in that sense, what happens, you have a continuous stream of the prices, which is very much, which is the market, as far as IIBX is concerned, visible to everyone. Because right now many of the prices are being put manually. So sometimes you see there is no movement, because unless the buy side sees the sell side and the sell side sees buy side, the prices will converge. So I just want to explain to you all, just don't look at a static price and believe that oh, this price is a little off, I am not able to see the price which I am seeing here. Trust me, the qualified jewelers who have done the deals on our system, they have vouched and they have told me that they have got better pricing than what they would have otherwise got. I mean, I'm not saying it. I'm just quoting. This is quote unquote. So I believe we are on the right track. A few more things which I want to tell through your this webinar. I'm so happy to be with you all on this webinar. Is that we are very much on the track to honor our commitment of 30 minutes trade to demat credit in your account promise.
Okay.
So already testing is done. We are now testing it with the depository system. Once we are ready, we'll go to the regulator, take their blessings, take their approvals, and then we'll come to you. Yes, we are there. The promise which we made to you. See, we also understand that everybody has a cost to this working capital cycle, and it's in their interest, it's in our interest that we actually become the first exchange globally where when you send your money, you do the trade, and the same day you are able to clear your gold bars and you are actually able to use those gold bars. This is the endeavor with which we'll work. So on that 30-minute promise is one of the things. And another thing, as you know, Government of India, relevant authorities have already approved uh, uh, the that at various SEZs, IFSC approved vaults can be opened. And so we are working towards it. Regulator will talk to regulator. Regulator is also doing some internal discussions. We'll have a discussion and we'll come back to you with some positive news on that. When once that happens, then we'll have a few more centers all over India. India geographically is a humongous country, and then we'll be able to actually deliver those 4 hour, 5 hour, gold to everyone in India in all the states.
Okay. So, knowing very well that the circulars which came in recently, I'm talking about the circulars which started coming from 7th of September. So, knowing that they were like huge, like there was so much a return and all that, and I'm sure you may not have gone through them. So, but any first sense like will that also help in the business at IIBX? So no commitment. Like if I'm sure Arjun would have also done some research on that. But if you have any initial comments on that, I know that it's difficult for you to answer at that time because they are really technical and circulars are really technical for you to make a view. But the first sense from the market or anywhere.
In fact, I am very happy that today Arjun is there and a lot of these technical questions will be answered by the expert. And I am also, and in fact, my team is also logged in to, very, attentively, though I have to leave at 4:20,
But one disclaimer I have to give. So whatever Arjun had told me to give that disclaimer in particular. So even he is also not committing his neck on any of the things which he's gonna speak today. It can be taken as the first reference for your own research. But because this everybody is learning, and of course good for the discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, Harish, point noted. And in fact, that's how the approach should be, because see, first point is actually to do the extensive reading, talk to the experts, understand, raise doubts, and gain those the clarifications by way of discussions. And obviously, and then start doing some test transactions. That's, as they say, the taste of the pudding lies in eating it. So the point we are trying to say, for the pudding, all the ingredients are there at IIBX. I'm sure we will make a phenomenal pudding. And so we are just waiting for all of you to come and start tasting it. And I believe with these gazette notifications which have come and we all are going through it, the initial feedback from the market, we have spoken to many players. We have also seen, our team has also given me some feedback. I have also seen it. We believe, I think it's a very positive thing to come, and this is giving a lot more clarity, and hope that TRQ imports under CEPA should now start materializing.
Fantastic. So as usual, if people expect some big announcement or a teaser, maybe, which if there is anything uh, you can unfold today, and maybe a teaser. I know there is always so many things up your sleeves, and
In the so many teasers, I have a lot of things lined up. Though caveat is many of these things are yet to be discussed with the regulator in a official formal manner. And we are also, in the process of, some things are in the concept note and some things are where we are drafting the final things. And because as you know, a lot of things require a lot of IT commitment because we have to test the systems and all. But you asked about the teaser, so I have already given you one teaser about 30 minutes. Second teaser is about the multi-SEZ, where IFSC awards would come or could come. Let me tell you a few more things. We are working very seriously on the gold metal loan for the qualified jewelers and the gold lease product for the entities in the SEZ. And though not relevant for the qualified jewelers, but definitely repo piece. Security, you lending and borrowing, what you understand, SLPs, and this is essentially the repo piece we will be working on. And we want you to have many such webinars where we keep telling you about new things as we go.
Sure, we will definitely do that. In fact, I think in a month we are having third one. Sorry, I think there was a problem with our internet connection here. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right. Sorry. So I requested the participants to have some questions if they have anything for Mr. Gautam before he signs off. Or then otherwise we move to the next item. So you want to hang around, it will be our pleasure. And otherwise, of course, thank you very much for taking time out and discussing with us and sharing this news. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harish, for giving me this opportunity, and all the very best to you for the remaining part of this webinar, and good luck to Arjun. And my team is certainly logged in. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So Arjun, now I think you take over the stage and you let me know, let the audience know about the series of circulars which started coming from 7th. I think one was on 7th, and later on 9th and 10th we had two more circulars. And so can you briefly tell us about what these circulars are trying to address?
Yeah, first of all, Harish, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be interacting on a lot of these latest developments, which are just a week old, and it would be more prudent to call them evolving developments because the system is still to be put in place, tried and tested. So let us start in a chronological way. I'm not going to start with the notification dated 48 of 2022, that is of 7th of September, but I'm going to dial back to March and April 2022, post India actually signing the comprehensive CEPA with UAE. For the first time, there was a notification that was issued by the Commerce, which was followed by the Tax Research Unit, Department of Revenue, wherein they said for all imports pertaining to 7108 under the India UAE CEPA, there was the requirement to comply with import of goods at concessional rate of duty customs rules 2017. So what was very significant about these rules, which were notified in 2017, subsequently amended, was that it had expressly barred the precious metals industry from indulging in job work of any nature.
Okay.
So when there was a compliance required pertaining to the import of, let's call them 2017 rules for the sake of convenience, the 2017 rules. So there were a lot of representations that were made subsequently both to the commerce and to the finance ministries, because it was not just the finance or the Department of Revenue which had notified this under customs notifications, the TRU, but the commerce had also notified the compliance with the 2017 rules. So now let us just move back to 7th of September 2022.
So can you be a little more louder, please? I've got a couple of comments.
Am I audible now? Am I better?
Yeah, so I can hear you. Yeah,
Okay.
I can hear you well.
So now we spoke about the TRQ licenses, and the TRQ licenses in between got issued, and the TRQ licenses, whoever has been provided with the license, it was mandated very clearly that the said imports were to be carried out either through a nominated bank or a nominated agency, and in the other case where it is being imported only through the IIBX, it had to be through a qualified jeweler. These were the entities that were notified to carry out these imports. So in addition to these imports, gold is largely allowed for import under replenishment schemes, where the import is done only by a nominated bank or a nominated agency. So that is where we come to the notification dated 48 of 2022, dated 7/9/2022, wherein for the first time, notifications 56 and 57 of 2000, which deal with these replenishment schemes, were brought under the purview of compliance vis-a-vis rules 2017. So the import of goods at concessional rate of duty rules were made applicable to the nominated banks and the nominated agencies, and the notification 57 of 2000, which covers the said imports under different replenishment schemes. So now the next step is pertaining to 74 of 2022 customs notification, which was dated 9/9/2022. So this is a very important and a very comprehensive notification. I would rather want to call it a jumbo notification for the simple reason that this notification superseded all the previous notifications and the amendments that were crossed to the 2017 rules. And now on, let us call this 2022 rules for the sake of convenience. It was called the import of goods at concessional rate of duty. And also, it expanded the scope, wherein it brought the end use or the specific end use for which the said imports are being carried out into the focus for the first time.
So are you suggesting that if we compare the earlier provisions, so these CGSR rules, were they not applicable for the gold imported for export purposes at zero duty?
Correct. To be more precise, the gold that was previously imported by the nominated banks and the nominated agencies till 7/9/2022 notification, which is 48 of 2022, that notification is going to come into effect only from 1st of October 2022, to be precise. Okay,
Absolutely.
so that will come into effect from 1st of October, but till this was notified in the Gazette, the 2017 rules were not applicable to the imports by nominated banks and nominated agencies for replenishment schemes.
So, yeah, sorry. Yeah. If I also understand, reading the circular dated 9th September, so I can see a broad SOP which has been, defined there. So is this also the first time they have defined this kind of an SOP? Though it looks like, there is everything in black and white. So you have to do this to make all the compliances. So what is your...
We'll run through that. Yeah. So there are basically, as we said, there are two notifications and one circular here. The two notifications are pertaining to 7th of September and 9th of September. And the circular, we'll discuss that separately. It is 18 of 2022, dated 10th of September. We'll come to that finally. So as far as the 74 of 2022 customs dated 9/9/22 is concerned, there are four very important points that I would like to discuss in detail, for which I'll just take 5 minutes, not more than that. The first point is pertaining to what I call the epicenter of the notification. So basically, the importer on record is the epicenter. There are three verticals I would like to draw here. Okay. Vertical number one is the import that is being carried out by a nominated bank or nominated agency for the purpose of TRQ license holders under the India UAE CEPA. Vertical number two is the imports that are carried out by the qualified jeweler through IIBX under the auspice of the India UAE CEPA for the TRQ license holders for themselves. And vertical 3 is pertaining to the imports made by nominated banks and nominated agencies under 56 of 2000, 57 of 2000 pertaining to replenishment schemes. So the IGCR rules now are for all the three verticals. So wherever required, we will go under the specific vertical. Yeah.
So, okay, so now a logical question would be like when you are connecting IGCR rules even to the export board, which is actually technically speaking is not a concessional duty because it is actually meant for export only. And what's the rationale of bringing it under IGCR? Does it make things difficult, at least for this kind of import?
There are two ways of looking at this. Okay. First is, as I told you, the change in the name itself. Previously, it was called Customs Import of Goods at Concessional Rate of Duty Rules 2017. Now it's called Customs Import of Goods at Concessional Rate of Duty or for Specified End Use Rules 2022. Okay. Now, what is this specified end use? The specified end use, for example, if you are bringing under the UAE CEPA, you are bringing it for a specified end use which is pertaining to the manufacturing activity which is to be carried out by the TRQ license holder. If you are actually bringing it under the replenishment schemes, you are supposed to be carrying out a particular manufacturing activity which involves wastage, value addition, which is further going to be exported through the customs authorized port. And then you are supposed to submit all the three documents, which is the customs attested invoice, which has all these details, the EP copy of the shipping bill, and then after a stipulated period of 180 days, the bank realization certificate, all of this to the nominated bank or the agency who then submit it to the customs where there is actually a live bond. The bond gets cancelled only after this entire cycle of import, export, and then going back to the port of import is done. Until that particular bond that is held by the customs is not cancelled, there is a liability that may get triggered anytime as per the terms and conditions of the bond that is present with the customs officer. And my understanding is wherever there is a bond, there is also a subsequent security, whether you want to call it a bank guarantee or a margin or whatever the bank is holding against the particular or the specific differential duty involving that particular import. So I think from that particular context and also from the context that there have been a lot of issues in these replenishment schemes in the recent past, where the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence has issued a lot many notices for omissions and commissions that have been carried out by the exporters. So the idea behind this 2022 rules is to ensure that while the scheme is meant to facilitate the genuine exporter and promote the whole of the industry, it is also to ensure that any omission or commission should be plugged as much as possible, because the scheme should not become a vehicle to perpetuate any fraud. That is the sum and substance. So from that point of view, I think they have done the whole of this delegated legislation. So if we go into it, there are actually 8 pieces of information that is being sought for in 74 of 2022. And the first major change that is being brought here is the importer on record is supposed to be having what is called as IIN, which is the import.
I was coming to that actually. Before that, Arjun, I want to let us clarify one more thing here. So, by bringing in the IGCR rules applicability to even the export board, so you have made it little complex as it appears now. I don't know really that banks may also comment based on their experience. But the thing is, because when you talk about the job work thing, which was like the concern was raised for the TRQ imports. So that job work thing, now, like while that is allowed now, and but then there are certain processes which are involved to ensure that how you have to do it. Okay, of course you can take that later, but is that understanding correct? Like even now for the exports also, those kinds of things are like um, applicable as it is in the
So
case of TRQ.
to put your question in perspective, I understood what you're asking. Before this particular notification was issued, a nominated bank or a nominated agency, in my understanding, did not actually submit any details pertaining to what the job work was actually being carried out for, what was the
Absolutely,
quantum of job work, what was the
absolutely.
manufacturing activity, where was it actually carried out, how much went out for job work, how much returned from job work, what were the details. None of these pieces of information was ever provided to customs. So as I mentioned previously, after this particular notification, the importer on record, which is the nominated bank and the nominated agency in both the verticals, the vertical pertaining to the TRQ license holders and the vertical pertaining to the exporters, have become the epicenter, which is we will shortly discuss the multiple returns or forms that are expected to be submitted. And all these forms, whether it is IGCR 1, 2, 3, 3A, all these four forms are to be submitted by the nominated bank or nominated agency as they stand today. But what is very important is to appreciate is that the nominated bank or the nominated agency will not be able to submit any of these forms unless until they actually have all the inputs from both the manufacturer and in some instances, in some forms, from the job worker also. So it is like a chain. The job worker will have to collate all the information and provide the manufacturer with all the details that is required to be submitted. And there can be many instances where we have not one or two or multiple job workers, and all these job workers give it to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer in turn collates all of this, gives it to the nominated bank, and the nominated bank will have to insert all of this and then submit them to the customs online through these forms, because the whole of the process is automated for the chain to stand completed. This is what I call the spine or the backbone of this particular notification.
Is
And
it
if
even feasible to? Is it even feasible to even anticipate what kind of a job work and who will do the job work actually at the time of import?
I think that is an area of concern which needs to be addressed by the revenue. To put it more precisely, as things stand today, a nominated bank is importing a lot of gold under 57 of 2000, where they're actually not indulging in the import for a particular exporter. What I'm trying to say is when the import is happening under the license, TRQ licenses, what is basically happening is you actually know who you are importing for. You cannot import for more quantum than whatever is the license specification. Whereas when it comes to this particular issue of nominated bank or nominated agency importing under 57 of 2000, they could probably import a lot of gold and then decide who actually they are going to deal with in terms of exporters. Forget the job workers, that is the next layer. But that particular information is required here if they have to generate an IIN. So that is a business model change that the nominated bank and the nominated agency will have to undergo here. So what is the change? Previously, they could import, let's say, 500 or 1000 kgs of gold and then decide who's the exporter they're going to deal with. But now they're going to reverse engineer the process. They first know the exporter, they then know what is the quantum that the exporter requires, and then they place the order, and probably for one exporter or multiple exporters, and then the import takes place as things stand today.
Okay.
And there is a question, can we start
You
taking?
wanted to discuss about IIN, which was very relevant, I think.
Yeah.
That's actually my next point also. So why don't
So,
you
so
describe
this
what is the
is
problem you're
going
facing?
to be followed by what is called the IGCR 1. Okay, so the IN is going to be the unique number that they are going to be having. And this unique number is going to be generated only if we are going to be feeding in a lot of information. To be very precise, what that lot of information is, we can actually run through them also. If you permit me, I'll just take 1 minute to provide all the information that is required. And in between, I will also go that in addition to this, there's going to be a continuity bond that will have to be submitted along with this IN at the time of the filing of the bill of entry. The bond will then be deducted electronically. So the very interesting aspect post this notification is the whole of this process. Now that it is going to become automated, the cancellation of the bond and all that was previously happening in a manual mode, all of this is going to become automated. And not only automated, like for example, if you look at IGCR 2, IGCR2 is pertaining to any short receipt or non-receipt of goods, which will have to be communicated again in that particular format. Then we have IGCR3, which is pertaining to job work and the monthly statement that is required to be filed. And then you have IGCR3A, and IGCR3A is pertaining to the quantity of goods that has actually been consumed. And once that is submitted, the IGCR3A is submitted, then the retread automatically takes place. So the whole of the system from a trade facilitation point of view stands automated, and there is no requirement for any manual intervention with respect to cancellation of bond, with respect to retread of the bond, the continuity bond, and all these issues. That's the fundamental aspect.
Okay, so while we are getting few questions from the participants, I think my suggestion is that we first finish short. Like we go through all the questions that we have, and then we come to that. Of course, some of them will all automatically be addressed while we are discussing.
Okay,
So
perfect.
I think will that be okay, or you want to take them now?
I'm okay both the ways.
Okay, so
So
then I think let's finish up our questions, and I think we will definitely be
okay, so the
including
next
many of them.
question, which is going to be of a lot of concern to nominated banks and nominated agency, is pertaining to what are the records that they're expected to maintain. And that is
Yeah.
where we have the specific point here where 8 records are expected to be maintained, and all those 8 records are listed. For the sake of brevity, I'm not going to be repeating all the 8 records. Now, I've explained what is IGCR 2233A. Now, let's go for a minute to understand what is the sum and substance of all of these notifications, the 2 notifications that have been issued in recent times. The sum and substance is the IGCR 2017 rules did not permit the importer who is nominated bank or nominated agency to give it to a TRQ license holder who can further indulge in job work, outsource job work. So that is something that changes now. So if you are going to be importing gold under the India UAE CEPA, the first thing that is going to be happening is you obtain the gold from, let us say, a bank, and then you can indulge in outsourcing of the job work. The only thing is that you will have to ensure that the statements are all in order as the requirement is under IGCR 3 and IGCR 3A. One. Number two, if you are a nominated bank or an agency who is importing under the replenishment scheme, which is 57 of 2000, you are allowed to give it to a manufacturer exporter who is further allowed to indulge in job work. It's just that all of this will have to be tracked. So previously there was no restriction as far as job work or otherwise was concerned, because IGCR 2017 was not applicable on any of these inputs, which has now become applicable. Now, as far as the bond, BG, and any of those issues are concerned, these are all not of big deal. They're very simple, and a nominated bank agency is not required to give any security or bank guarantee to the customs. It's only a bond. And also the bond conditions, they're all going to be governed by the previous circulars. To be very precise, Circular 27 of 2016 customs for imports which are governed under 57 of 2006, 2, 3, and 4.
So you're basically saying that there is no change in the conditions regarding any
Correct.
bond,
Other than
like
the
the
whole of
value
this
and all, they
being
remain the same.
automated. Other than the whole of this being automated. Now let's come to the Circular
The
18.
bond requirement for TRQ, is there any, because they talk about the assessable value. So what is that assessable value?
Now, accessible value is basically the cost, the insurance, the freight, all of this put together is that it's a normal accessible value that's used in the bill of entry for processing of the entities.
Okay, so the bond value will be what? So the duty difference or the assessable value? Because I couldn't get it. I couldn't
No,
get a
actually,
clarity.
it is very specifically mentioned in the Circular 18 of 2022, Harish. If we go to 4.3 of the circular, it's talking about the bond and the bank guarantee in detail, which is pertaining to the different entities. First, it's pertaining to the importers who are, nominated agencies for the import of gold under the CEPA. Then it's talking about the nominated banks who've been recognized by the RBI. So the whole of this is,
So I just read out the clause. I think you're talking about the clause 43B. So I'll just read out. In cases where the notification is other than the one that provides an exemption benefit, uh, the bond value is equal to the assessable value of the goods being imported.
correct.
So that is where, like, so I guess this
What
is
is to
the
be
clause which.
appreciated, Harish, here is that there is actually no security or bank guarantee that is required to be given by the nominated bank or the nominated agency. It's only a bond as per the terms and conditions, and the format is also available. So that should not actually be a concern to any nominated bank or agency vis-a-vis the imports that are being carried out by the TRQ license holders.
Okay, so in what basically you're suggesting that the compliances are more stringent, but again, do you think they are more stringent or
I wouldn't use the word stringent. I think the whole system has become streamlined. All the compliance requirements, and I think whenever we are moving to a new system, there may be hiccups and there may be issues. Let us say the transition phase will experience certain compliance issues. So that should actually not be a concern. But I am sure wherever there are certain issues that require let us say attention, let us say for example if the business model needs to change, the business model in the context of whether the nominated bank and the nominated agency under 57 of 2000 are required to deal with the exporter manufacturers much before the import is going to take place, unlike in the past. So I think that is an area of concern which may be taken up by the nominated banks and agencies with the Department of Revenue, and the revenue may actually apply its mind and come out with either a clarification or a modification. See, I want to stress on another point. The other point, or the most important point, is this IGCR 2022, as it stands today, is not being made only for the gold importers. It is being made for all importers, and especially 57 of 2000 and also the UAE CEPA. They are very peculiar, should I say, patterns of import, because the importer on record is actually not the end user, and the importer on record is not even the actual beneficiary of the exemption that is being extended by the government. So it is in this context that we need to appreciate that the end user in both the scenarios are different entities, though importer on record is the same. For example, the end user as far as UAE CEPA is concerned is the TRQ license holder, whereas the end user as far as 57 of 2000 is concerned is the manufacturer exporter. So this peculiar scenario is the one which actually complicates the whole thing, and it is in this context that I probably want people to read the whole idea pertaining to what is the definition of job work in 74 of 2022, and then we go to the specific end use 4.2F, and then we go to 4.55, where the very interesting phrase that has been used is goods belonging to the importer. So what does goods belonging to the importer mean? If we apply our minds here, the goods belonging to the importer means the goods should actually be owned by the importer, and the importer on record should be the actual beneficiary, and he should not be someone who's doing it, like in this case the nominated bank or the agency, who are doing this for a insignificant commission in this whole scheme of things, because they are neither going to be the beneficiary, nor are they going to be indulging in value addition, nor are they going to be indulging in export of the said consignment. So they are having no clue about job work, if any, it is going to be carried out at this point in time. So this, in my opinion, is, let us say, for want of a better word, a very complicated arrangement, which actually deserves, in my opinion, a completely separate circular rather than clubbing this with the overall issues, because all
Yeah,
other
because
issues,
see,
importer
technically,
is
I
the
think
beneficiary.
technically, like, whether the gold which you are importing for the export purposes, can you technically put it under concessional duty? That also is a point of debate. And
No, I actually have got a question. I think the question is very similar. Let's start taking the questions because I think the rest of
okay,
it will be answered.
sure,
It
sure.
says, what was the need to bring import of gold under 56 and 57 2000 under IGCR rules, because the gold is not imported under any duty concessions? I think this is a very complicated legal way of looking at it, because it is very easy to say that the gold is not being imported for any concession, but it would be correct to say that it is not imported for under any duty concession only after the completion of the entire process, because
In
till
fact,
it is
Arjun,
going to be.
if you allow me, I want to bring in Mr. Duggal from GJPC, and because I think he has written all these
He does.
questions, so it's better that if he talks to you and clarifies. Uh, Mr. Duggal, you're there now?
He is muted. I think he needs to be unmuted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you
do
hear
that.
me now?
Yeah, perfect, sir. Please go on.
Okay. So thank you for providing this opportunity. It's really this new rules which have come. This is something new for our sector. Our sector was not included in any kind of such compliances before. So all of a sudden, whereas we were trying for the relaxation of the conditions regarding job work in the IGCR rules, suddenly IGCR rules have been expanded to include normal import of gold for export as well. So I don't know what will be the role of nominate agencies and whether they would have any reservations about performing the compliances required from them. So Arjunji, if you can throw some light on that.
Yeah, so let me start answering, sir. These points.
Because the nominate agencies, they at the time of import will not be knowing as to who would be the importer or who would be the job worker and whether they would be willing to undertake that responsibility. So
sir,
that,
as I said, this is a chain. The job worker will be the end part of the chain. The job worker, or let us say job workers, vis-a-vis one manufacturer will have to submit all the compliance statements. The manufacturer, exporter collates all of it, and then he will have to submit all of it to the nominated bank, who in turn will have to file the IGCR 1233A, because now all these are expected as per the rules to be filed by the importer on record, which is the bank. The manufacturer, exporter, or the job worker cannot file these, though they will have to maintain these records at their end, which is very clear because the exporter is also required to maintain all these relevant.
isn't it making a little bit more complicated for the exporter? Because right now, as it is, he has to do so many compliances. Now he will have to have all these records, maintained. You never know when the DRI person will come after 5 years and ask for the details of the job workers, their addresses, their verifications and whatnot.
I see your point, sir, but let me go back to your original question. The reason why this has actually been brought in is that there is a duty concession involved here, because if the duty concession is not involved, sir, because as you rightly pointed out, DRI coming after many years is coming back only for the differential duty there.
True.
They are not coming for anything else. And if there was no duty concession here, then there would be no question of differential duty. So I think that answers the first question. Your next question, sir, is the exporters are concerned about the compliances for job work, which they have to now follow. Yeah, previously, as far as job work, exporter manufacturer was not required. Now, I think, sir, the process does not change, but only the documentation, the returns, records, and the compliance work actually changes. So I wouldn't say change. I would want to, for a better word, use the word that it's all streamlined now. So the whole of this is going to be automated, it's streamlined, and it will ensure that the process is smooth in terms of cancellation of the bond also. Your next question is, does it mean that for any default by the job worker, the nominated agency will be held responsible? So it's a very, very important question. So we need to go back to the customs law. Okay, the customs law, we're talking about section 28. I'm not going to get into too much of legalese here, but none of these notifications, when I mean none of these notifications, the notifications which were issued in the month of March and April in the context of UAE CEPA, or the notifications 48 and 74 which have been issued in the month of September 22, or the circular which has been issued in 18 of 2022 dated 10 September 2022. None of these have actually changed the factual position, legal position, that if there is going to be any omission or commission by the manufacturer, exporter, or the TRQ license holder, whether it is under the UAE CEPA or under 57 of 2000, the liability for differential duty will rest with the nominated bank and the agency as it stands now. So your question is, what if the job worker is going to be misreporting the details to the manufacturer, and that detail is going to be provided by the manufacturer to the bank? I think that is a serious concern, because by the end of the day, the bank is responsible for whatever is filed under the IGCR 1233A with the customs department, because it is all filed in the name of the importer on record. That is absolutely clear. There is no doubt about it.
Yes,
So Mr. Karthik Pancholi also has some
one more
question.
thing, Harish, if you
Okay. Sorry, yeah.
So I had informal talks with the banks. They were all saying that till now, even now, when the manufacturer exporter defaulted, the nominate agency was caught. It was his responsibility and he was being penalized. Now they say they, of course, have KYC done for their clients who are exporters or manufacturers, but they have no control about the job workers who are directly responsible to the manufacturers. So if the job worker does something wrong or mischievous, how can the nominated agency be held responsible for that?
I think, sir, this is a larger policy issue, and this can be addressed only if there is actually going to be suitable amendments to the policy. Because, as you rightly pointed out, this is something that has not been introduced by way of these notifications in 2022. This is
Yes.
something that has been, existing for a long time now, and there have been demands, and DRA has also been,
Yes.
seized of this matter for a long time now.
I think the whole idea is to bring this unorganized sector into an organized sector. Now with having records of all the job workers and their credentials getting verified and being responsible, the idea behind will be to organize them so that they can improve their working or can be held responsible.
So yeah, that seems
Okay,
to be
let's
the
move on to
logic.
the next question, Harish, which is, does TRQ allow us to import gold bar for job work? Yeah, you actually, under TRQ, you can be importing gold bars, but you can import only that particular quantum which has been permitted to you under license by DGFT. And then you can indulge in job work after you receive it from the nominated bank or the nominated agency. So the next question is, what is the difference between 3 and 3A? Format and column contents are similar. Yeah, there is a lot of overlap as far as the information is concerned, but 3 is pertaining to the job work, and 3A is pertaining to the retraded as far as the goods which have been consumed are concerned in the revolving bond. So this again, the retraded in the revolving bond is going to be happening in a automated format as soon as 3A is going to be submitted, and that will how the auto-populated bond work like.
So the next question is actually very interesting one. How about the advance authorization? That also comes under the IGCR?
See, advance authorization again is not something that you are going to be doing through a nominated bank or a nominated agency to start with.
Yeah.
Advance authorization you're doing on your own. And as far as the applicability of IGCR is concerned, IGCR makes it very clear. It is drawing a distinction when you are an importer, okay, because again, I'm saying there is a lot of misconception that is going around that 74 of 2022 has been, which is a notification, has been rectified by 18 of 2022, which is a circular. There is no rectification. I'm trying to explain this because 74 of 2022 is defining job work. Okay, and again, for want of clarity, I'm doing, it says goods belonging to importer. For example, the gentleman who asked the question here, I want to tell you, if you are importing under advance authorization, the goods belong to the importer. Whereas if you are importing under 57 of 2000 or under TRQ, the goods do not belong to the importer. That is the very subtle legal nuance that has been introduced into 74 of 2022, and which is, am I not audible? Which has
Yeah,
further
you are.
been
You are.
qualified, which has further been qualified in 18 of 2022 under both the parts, which is 4.55, and in addition to 4.55, it is in 1 second, 4.2F. So these are the two areas. So I think that answers your question. The next question is, sorry, since chat box is disabled and writing here.
I'll actually allow him to talk for a moment. With a request to keep it very brief. Mr. Pancholi, please, you are allowed to talk now, but just keep it very brief so that everybody can have.
Definitely. I'm audible to everyone.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I do appreciate for this kind of webinar. Since I'm working in this product last 30 years, the changes which took place, it is there in front of me and it is there in my veins. Now, after introduction of IGCR, we are discussing IGCR, but basically we need to understand that earlier I'm taking you back to the 2016, where the CBIC took a stand that gold is duty free under 57 2000. That is the reason why they withdraw the warehousing procedure from nominated agency, because there is no duty deferment. Now it is surprising and shocking the way they introduce IGCR for this export gold. According to my experience of this last 3 decades, I'm sure that for a period of time, unless and until the CBIC come up with the proper solution, the entire export proceed will be derailed. None of the nominated agency is in position to fill these forms or provide such kind of information unless they start one-to-one import. And that way, I can say all the small exporters will disappear from the export industry. For nominated agency, it is not possible to import 1 kg gold, 2 kg gold, or 5 kg gold for them. It is always in a quantity they can import. Second thing,
Thank you.
whatever the,
Yeah, sorry.
sorry, I'll take only a few seconds, sir.
Oh, sure. Please go on. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought you finished.
whatever the compliance is, if you look at the previous provisions under notification 57 or circular 27 and etc., all the similar compliances were onus was there on the nominated agency to pay the revenue if the exporter job worker or they made themselves. It was so easy procedure for exporter to initiate their export worldwide. But after this IGCR, I can assure you it will be derailed like anything. That's all, sir. Thank you.
So I think Arjun, very valid point. The first point, the rationale for why they were the rationale for why IGCR rules were not made applicable for the export gold. I think that needs an examination, and if that is like a situation, or that was the ground reality, maybe a suitable suggestions can be.
Yeah, as I said, this is just the beginning. This is evolving, and period of transition. There are going to be a lot of questions, and the compliance will require a lot of application of mind. And I'm sure this will lead to more facilitation, and hopefully things will, be made easy as we move forward. That's the way I look at it on a positive note. If we can wrap up, yeah.
So Prem also has a question for you. Yeah, Prem. Prem, you are on mute, but you can now. Premna, hello.
Can we unmute him, Harish?
I have already unmuted. No, I cannot. He has to unmute himself. I don't know.
No, I think there is a problem.
Okay.
Can the admin unmute him?
No. So no. I don't know whether he's speaking only or not.
Okay.
So that's the thing. I've already requested him to unmute himself, but so if he's not responding, it means he is not there. So any more questions, or otherwise we can end the webinar.
So yeah, we'll anyways be open to a lot of questions days to come. They can feel free to write to IGPC.
Yeah.
There
So
will be a
yeah,
lot
my
of
request is that any of the participants, if any of their questions have been not addressed here, so they have yeah, Premji, please.
No, he's muted, Harish.
Okay. Okay. So in that case, the participants, if there are certain questions which are still unaddressed, they can write back to us, and we will try to address them or take it to some logical conclusion. And Arjun, thank you very much. You really have good command on this
My
subject,
pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
and
Yeah,
and
hopefully
I
we'll be having all answers very.
so and also I want to thank all the participants for taking time out and attending the webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks. It was a good one.
Thank you.
Okay, sir, close कर दो।